What's going on, everybody?
What's happening?
How's everybody doing out there tonight?
Is everybody doing okay?
All right, this is Local Musicians XP,
Yes, sir. This is
and
Chop It Up Tuesdays, right?
that's right. That's right. We're gonna do a live stream every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. and we've called it Chop It Up Tuesdays. We're just gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some special guests, uh, have the live chat going, and bring in some questions and some comments and maybe even sneak a few people in to hang out with us. So you just have
Yeah.
to, you never know, never know. So we're still a work in progress here of trying to merge. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So Tyrone, I guess everything is connected. So we'll just let some folks get in here, man. And looks like some people are coming in. Um, I can't see the YouTube, which I was trying to
To monitor
get
the
a
YouTube.
read on, but let's see. Maybe if I go live to live, let's see.
It's a lot of moving parts in this thing, bro.
Man, this is
But
just,
as musicians, we're always learning anyway, right?
yep.
So
Man, this has
yeah.
been a learning curve like a mug. So, um, so anyway, we'll figure it all out. But if you got questions, comments for us, um, please drop them in the chat and let us know. I think it will tell us where you're watching, but if you want to let us know where you're watching, that would be cool too. So let's just get started, man. So what was your weekend like?
Well, uh, with all the stuff going on, we had a show at the Balzer Theater. That
That
was
was Sunday.
cool. That was
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
13th.
Yep.
After we played for church, got over there and set up, and man, it was a really good show. I really enjoyed it. It didn't feel like work, it was cool. So good attendance. We can always bring that up, but people who
Yeah.
didn't wasn't there, they missed a great show, great musicianship, great artistry. So yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What about, did you play anywhere Friday or Saturday?
Friday, I think I subbed for somebody at like a place I can't remember. Friday, Saturday, I was just getting my syllabi and stuff together for school
Right.
and doing that. How about yourself?
Yeah. Let's see. Friday, I played with Mike Veal Band as I do every Wednesday at Tin Roof. But then we had a couple of gigs. Had one at Napoleon's uh, in Decatur on
Right.
Friday. That was great. And then we had one Saturday at a new place, Creation Social or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
New little, yeah, nice little spot. It'd be a great jazz room.
Okay.
Little quaint. Has two sides to it, nice stage and stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. And
Mm.
and then Sunday we had a church at Riverdale, which was interesting. And then the gig at the Balzer with Carla Harris,
Yeah.
great singer Carla Harris, and had a great band with Sam Skelton on saxophone, Billy Thornton on bass,
Yeah.
uh,
Trey,
Trey
right?
Trey Wright on guitar, and yourself as on Rhodes and keys, and
Keys.
MD, and myself on drums, and
Yeah. Good band.
so so that was a lot of fun. Played some original and some arrangements and some
Yeah.
standards. So that was a nice mix, man. And you're doing great things over at
I am,
Balzer, man. Why
man.
don't you talk more about that, man? Tell people sort of Balt. It's in the same building as the Rialto
Yeah.
Theater. It was formerly called Theatrical Outfit.
Outfit. Right.
where they do the plays and stuff like that. And
Right.
now it's Balzer Theater, and you have been head of doing some, curating some shows and some concerts over there.
Yeah, it's been a great partnership with Theatrical Outfit slash Balzer Theater slash Live at Heron's Restaurant, which was one of the I found out was one of the first integrated restaurants in Atlanta. Kind of found a placard back when they did their remodeling and saw that the Heron sign was there. So in that bar area, they posted that refurbished sign that they had in there. That was kind of behind something. It's kind of cool.
Mm,
And it's been a great partnership to bring in concerts uh, to the Atlanta area because so often musicians don't have a platform to express themselves, and I think people take for granted that because maybe me and you might be in the same band, it's the same sound or it's the same ideas or same things, but we all have our own like things that we like, the genres that we like, the type of music we like. We can all switch hats when we need to. It doesn't have to be we all play the same thing or have an affinity for the same thing, you know. And so I
hmm
think that's lacking in Atlanta is places for us to play and express ourselves. So I just really wanted that to be a situation for where the musicians and the music was the focal point. And I don't want to necessarily do covers. I don't want the people to do. I want the artistry to come out and we've seemed to find a home at Theatrical Outfit Balzer Theater. So we're looking forward to many more concerts. I actually reached out. They actually To Theatrical Outfit reached out to myself, and we got a meeting just to decompress how everything went. But they're pleased, I'm pleased, and we're just looking forward to building it up. Those of you who showed up to Carla's show Sunday and the previous concerts with Rhonda Thomas and Kathleen Bertrand, tell everybody about it. Tell everybody how great of a time you had, how the venue was sonically so good and visually so good. So, yeah, yeah, tell more people about it. And we're looking to grow it, and you'll be pleased with the product. That's what I'm looking to put the best product possible, and best musicians possible, and best artists possible.
right.
Yeah,
It's interesting that you say there's not a lot of places to
yeah,
showcase and perform, especially if you are a artist that has more original type music. You're doing some covers or you're doing some arrangements, but
mm-hmm.
where you can actually put on a concert, man, and people come and pay whatever the ticket price is, and and come to your show. There's not a lot of places to do that anymore,
Right,
which is, I just feel like everything is even now, the if you're playing in a corporate band or wedding band. Of course, we've always done that and done cut. You play covers
right,
for whatever the client wants or whatever. But in terms of like actually putting on a concert or putting on a show, I mean, I'm seeing more and more just cover bands that are getting booked in, what should be more for artists that have their own music and their original music. But that's a whole nother conversation, I'm
right.
sure, that we'll throw out at some point, because it's just, even doing your own music now seems to
Yeah,
be taboo. you know
right,
Ain't
right,
nobody want to listen to it unless it's,
right,
unless they recognize it. So, but that's a
right.
whole nother conversation, man. So, well, cool. Well, and then let's see, and then you got school starting up. So
Yes.
new academic for all of you school teachers. Um,
Yeah, we started Monday at Kennesaw. So yeah.
yeah. So I can see a little bit of it in your forehead, bro. A little bit, got a little,
It's a different
it's a.
generation, bro. That's all I can say, bro. Different type of students, bro. You gotta hold their hand, bro, and go through like
well,
Goldilocks, bro. You know.
Well,
It's like,
what's funny, man, is last night at the jam session,
yeah,
Joe's jam session over at Nepal, it was packed. It was so
yes,
many people. That's been such a great success.
right,
But there's so many people. But a couple of young drummers came out and
right,
played.
right,
And Keegan Mack, I'm gonna throw a shout out to Keegan, who's been coming out, and his dad is great, man. It's been
Yeah.
instrumental in getting him integrated into the scene and stuff. I think he's down at Florida State. So
Yeah.
he came out and played, man, sounded good. But there was another cat that I met, another young guy that I had not met before. I think he played with you
Yeah.
on. I can't remember what you guys were doing, but he was cool, man. He had some real vocabulary, some real. You could tell he had some language and
Right.
jazz, some real bebop language in his playing, which was great to see. And sounded uh, a little nervous, but I guess that's to be expected. But he came
Right.
out and played. I talked to him afterwards. He goes to Rutgers,
Oh wow.
and he's up there studying up at Rutgers. The great Robbie Amin, I know, is one of the drum teachers up there. I think there's someone else that teaches up there too. But I went over and talked to him, and but he was talking so soft, like he was kind of a little bit, hesitant. I was like asking him questions and trying to,
Right.
talk to him. But he said he was at Rutgers, and I asked him, I said, what year are you in? And he said he was a third year, so junior. And I was like,
Oh
oh,
wow.
okay, so you're on the older side, or you're almost, kind of done.
Right.
But the fact that, he didn't really, uh, man, just young guys, I really encourage you when you guys come out, make it a point to introduce yourselves. Um, you know, tell us where you're from, talk about what you're doing. I guarantee you that, we're not going to bite. Just come out,
Well,
introduce yourself, get some conversation going so we can kind of get to know you,
it's funny that you mentioned that because I remember that cat, and I wanted to talk to him afterwards. I actually forgot,
Hmm.
because I was playing with him, and one of the things I wanted to teach him in that moment was that when the energy is going up and the singer is singing, don't bring it back down to a two feel if the energy is up. I mean, sometimes you can do it, but you just got to read the situation. If the
You're
energy
talking
is
about
up
a two feel in jazz. You're
in
talking
jazz,
about
yeah,
a
yeah,
two feel versus a four
swing
feel.
four
What's a
four,
two
yeah,
feel
right.
for those that don't know? Just what give me a two feel.
So you accent, oh, it's like a skip beat, like a one, two, 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 and the bass player is playing on one and three, and so it's kind of like a halftime kind of vibe. And
Halftime, right?
what it does is give you a chance to build the momentum, so you don't start off right
Right. Right.
with no place to go.
Right.
And usually the rule of thumb is, on the verses, whatever of the beginning, opening, whatever. Um, and when I say verses in jazz, it's usually the chorus. Back in the day, the verses used to be a rubato section, and what we know as the verse is really the chorus, and then there's a bridge, right? And so a lot of people don't know the verses of the song. Like "I Wish You Love" has a verse to it, and then you go "I wish you da 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 da." That's really actually the chorus. But anyway, needless to say, and you'll swing the bridge, you come back into two field, and then maybe the second time around you're going into swinging, so you could build the momentum. So after everybody takes their solo, they're swinging and stuff like that, and then usually sometimes younger people or people with not a lot of experience, they'll come in and go back to the two field, platoon, to that little half kind of vibe.
And
But the
the
problem is,
momentum is already going.
yeah, it's already going, man. It's like stopping a moving truck, and you got to try to get back uphill again. You're up there already, so stay there. The other thing is you're climaxing. You have a chance to break it down after that. So
Mm.
I kind of yelled at him. I was like, "Hey, hey, hey, keep it swinging." He responded, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him and say, "Hey,
Right.
man,
Right.
this is in this kind of situation. Keep that momentum going. Don't break it down."
Right. 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 Which, yeah, I know you would have loved to
Yeah,
given him a little bit
yeah,
of explanation
yeah. I didn't
as
want to give him
to.
angry old man vibes. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't think I was too bad, but I was like, "Hey, hey." I didn't know the cat's name. So I was like,
Hey,
"Hey,
tell it,
right,
tell
right."
it, tell it. No. Uh, that's
Oh,
a,
that's a good one.
we'll talk. Tell it.
Tell it.
We'll talk about that later.
Hey, did you see that Bill commented in there? He said the son of the guy who owned herons opened EJ's back in the day. One of the nicest jazz restaurants Atlanta ever had. I
Oh
remember
yes,
EJ's.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah, man, yeah. Shout out to Bill Hatcher. All
yeah,
right, who's in the chat right now with us, hanging out. The
yeah.
great Bill Hatcher.
Yes, sir.
Um, well, yeah, man. I mean, I feel that when speaking in, I guess just since we're talking about kind of jazz, the jazz idiom, I think it's the opposite on the R&B and the funk thing. I feel like cats
Right,
play too hard
right, right, right,
and don't have, they're not building anything or starting anything, especially from the vocalist. And a lot of
right,
times with the jazz thing, it's kind of the opposite of this. Like,
right,
man, you have to don't be afraid to give it energy and to give
right,
it, you
right,
know,
right, right,
um, give it that backbone, especially from a drummer's standpoint. Don't be afraid to dig in, you know.
right, right,
If you need to get a flat ride that don't build up, get a flat ride. But
right, right,
until you can control the cymbal. But
right,
definitely dig in and give the music some energy and some forward motion. And just like Tyrone said, it's like anything else. You'll kind of be able to read when things are going to come back down dynamically or come back down for a certain section, but
right,
don't be afraid to go all the way in there and give it that love.
right. With drummers too, I think drummers count measures too much. Like okay, here's
What do
eight.
you mean by that?
So they're like, okay, this is 4 bars here, 8 bars there. Oh, the bridge is like 12 bars, and then we come back in for 8 bars. And sometimes they're taught to mark those areas.
Oh man, that's a
Yeah.
great. I'm glad you brought that up.
But I think phrasing is more important than measures.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. I was actually had I just mentioned the young drummer Keegan, so I'm going to use him as an example. I was on another
Right,
gig and he was there, and I was talking to him about that very thing. Is, man, don't mark every section, every
right,
part. Like, if people know where the one is, if
right,
you, especially like in jazz, if you're always marking things, the that cycle never develops. It never gets to a point because you want it where it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then you have some type of release or some type of
right,
climax.
right,
If you're always stopping things at 4 bars or at 8 bars, it will never get there. So, and that's just
right,
something that I had to learn the hard way, because it's safe to. I think it's a safe thing to do for
right,
drummers
right.
is to mark everything. But if you're playing with, like, especially if you're playing with like a super bad bass player or super bad keyboard player, they'll tell you, man, I know where we are. I know where the one is. I know where the one is. But it's,
Yeah.
those kinds of things are just things that you will learn the more experience you get,
And
you
if you
know.
don't talk about it though,
If you
will you
don't,
ever
right.
learn it? I mean, it's just got to be that kind of reception. I mean, there's musicians who have listened, and some of these older guys are abrasive, yeah, but hey man, they got
Yep.
a wealth of knowledge. You just got to look past that.
Yep.
We do it with food.
Right.
Hey, if I went, there's a whole restaurant. I can't think of this hamburger joint where the lady would make everybody be quiet in the restaurant. She'd have a line outside the door. She'd
Oh,
be
that's
yeah. What's the name of
you
that
talking
place?
about and snack shop.
Yes, yeah. And
Yeah.
if she didn't like the way her attitude was abrasive, but them burgers was good enough where you did whatever you needed to
for
do.
for those who've never experienced Ann's snack shop, and if you're in a hopefully if you're in another city or whatever, and you've never been there, back in the day, if you ever watched the show Seinfeld,
Soup Nazi.
the soup Nazi, it was very similar. You didn't get no choice as to, you came in, she was gonna cook it how she
Right,
cooked it. It was whatever was gonna be on it was gonna be on it, and
right.
you were going to eat it, pay for it, and get the heck out of there.
Yeah, you don't
So,
come with no gluten allergies over there. Can I
can
get a
I
gluten?
get no onion pickle
She's
with
like, get out. She's like, get out.
she out out. So if you've experienced Ann's snack shop, let it be known in the chat. But it's very similar to the soup Nazi. But just like you said, man, if you don't talk about these things,
Right,
and this is kind of like what we're trying to develop is some sort of conversation, some sort of discord between um, us and the younger guys, and then
Mm-hmm.
also between the musicians and the general public, that of things that you just don't know or you don't even think about, and things that we talk about and go through and experience. So, but that's a great, if you don't talk about it,
Yeah.
how is somebody going to know that?
And sometimes you got to sift through the attitude sometimes that you can get from older cats. Just
Right.
like the old church people say, charge it to his head and not his heart. You know what I'm saying? It's got to go
Because you
there.
never know what that cat's coming off of. You don't know what he's dealing with at home. You don't know
Never
if he got
know.
his car note paid this month. If he,
Right.
you don't know if his kids are driving him crazy. You just there's just a lot of things that you just don't know.
You don't know if
So
he had to play with four singers in a row. You know what I'm
for
saying? Don't touch it,
uh,
bro. That's
I'm
me.
not
Don't
going
touch it,
to.
but don't. I got it. That's me.
So, but yeah, you got to develop a little bit of thick skin.
Right, right.
That was something that I struggled a little bit with, but having some sports training and having old school coaches, man,
Yeah.
will definitely get you ready for some of that. But I feel like there's a point where it can also be a negative.
Right,
You
right.
can't just dress the cat down every time
Nah, no, I can't do
something
that.
goes wrong. That's not the way to do it.
No, 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 no.
So, but yeah, man, we've got some people in the chat here. Got a couple good comments. Got Robert Boone hanging out with us, who's drummer in the Count Basie band, who's a good friend and also a former student of Mr. Jackson's here up at Kennesaw State, and is
Doing
out
me
there
proud,
doing
man. Doing me proud, bro.
great things. So yeah, man. So um, we did an episode last week that just
Yes.
talked about rehearsal or practice versus rehearsal. Now, I know a lot of people don't rehearse anymore,
Right,
you know,
right,
because cats they're paying bills. So they're doing
right,
corporate bands, wedding band, you playing, you've got your list and you've memorized it. So you don't even
right,
have time. You're making your money on the weekends and or whenever you can, and you're going from there. But I also feel like there's a little bit of some people that are coming back to wanting to write music and
yeah,
have more original material, or trying to form groups and bands. And if you're going to do that, what are you going to have to do?
right. But it's
You're going to
funny.
have to
It's
rehearse.
yeah, you got to rehearse. You're right. But it's funny when you put stuff out there, you get tested on it, don't you? Because like as soon as we did the rehearsal versus practice, we had a rehearsal and had to practice for the rehearsal.
Man,
I was like, I can't go into this thing not knowing the song
and
now.
what did I tell you? I was like, man, I better be coming in here full tilt, because I just put out a
Right,
whole rant
right,
about cats not coming to rehearsal prepared for prepared
yeah,
for the cats want to practice at
right,
rehearsal,
right,
which is a problem. It
right.
is a problem. It's because I call people like that, I call them time stealers.
Oh yeah.
Because if okay, everybody's busy, everybody's doing their thing, right?
Hmm.
If we can get if we have to do a rehearsal, okay, we could really be out of there in an hour or so
Yeah, yeah,
if
definitely.
everybody come prepared. Now, of course, that doesn't happen a lot, because even if you do come, there's going to be things just like
Yeah.
the sh- the stuff that we would do. I felt like we all kind of came prepared for that rehearsal for the most part.
Right, right. We just have to
Um,
dot some T's and dot some I's,
right,
cross
because
some
there's
T's.
always going to be stuff that comes
Yeah,
up,
yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah.
There's always going to
But
be
it's not
stuff,
like we had to learn the song on the spot, at rehearsal.
and have never listened to the
Yeah,
song, dude.
exactly. That's the
And
time
that's,
consuming part.
man, I can't with that.
Right,
I'm just
right,
here to say that's just
right,
lazy and ridiculous.
right.
Um,
And
and you're
then
not respecting other people's time.
no, and then the Carla's going through to see what's going to work, what sticks, and she can cross them off, whatever. And so, we were supposed to do a song of mine, and it wasn't coming together like it could. We could have spent time doing it. I was like, no, let's just cut it. Let's move on to the
Right.
next one.
Right.
Because I'm not going to waste the time or steal the time, like you so wisely said, of everybody else when we got other things that can sound good and work. We'll hit that another time. It's an intricate song, but I'm not about to spend all the time to do it if it didn't come together right away, you know?
Now if you yeah, and
And I
now
wasn't
if you
I wasn't
have
upset.
if you have if you're doing two or three,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
then you can kind of build up to,
Right, right, right.
okay, I know we're gonna, because there's a lot of material to cover. We have
Yeah,
some
yeah,
some tricky stuff,
yeah.
so we could kind of build up to that, right?
Right,
But
right.
if you got one rehearsal, try to make it as efficient as possible,
Yeah.
you know, and which at least come listening to the music, you know, even if there's charts, come listen. I know some people don't like to hear the music. They don't want to listen to the music. I know that. Okay. But at least it gives you a guide as to how the puzzle is put together
Well,
rather than,
I think some people think that sheet music can tell you everything that you need to know about the song.
and it can't. It
It cannot.
cannot. It
No.
cannot. Even if you're a great reader,
Right.
it's still the puzzle is going to be a little bit different than what's going to be
Right.
on and some things are going to be up for interpretation, right? You may
Yeah.
you do a lot of charts for
Yeah, but
people.
the chart is a starting point to help it make it easier. It's not a replacement for the listening. But it's an aid, a guide, because it is frankly supposed to save you time with learning the song, not playing the song, but learning the song.
Right.
Of course, you got some
Right.
great readers, and you got jazz is a different animal. Classical music, even with classical music, you need to listen to. If you're gonna play any Bach, the Goldberg variations, you better check out Glenn Gould because he's the
Mhm.
foremost authority of playing it.
Mhm.
So if you think you're just going to read Bach's manuscript with all the additions and additions into it with the dynamic markings, well, guess what? You might need to think about how Bach wrote the song because the piano wasn't invented yet. So it wasn't capable of doing soft sounds and loud sounds at the same time. So
Mhm.
maybe you're not listening to the people who've gone before you. So just like to make a long story short, sheet music is an aid, and if it's all possible to listen to something, you should temper the music with the recording, and vice versa. You know?
Right. Right. So, in your opinion, um, just like you do a lot of charts
Yes,
for people, and you're kind of known for that. That's one of the things that people will ask you for or ask you to do.
yes.
Um,
Little money there for y'all if y'all thinking about it.
we'll get
Yeah.
to that one
Little
too.
advertisement for that.
But your goal is to what? Is to give basically a map of what? Of the form, the changes, and then
Yeah.
you may say, okay, it's in this feel or what rhythm it is or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think my job as a person who engraves music or does sheet music is to find out the easiest way to give information without it being cluttered, to give you a good roadmap of what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make it easy, I have to map out the bars to make it look a certain way. You don't want to obscure different beats. So, like if you're going to set up some type of rhythms, one of the rules is don't obscure beat three. In other words, if you're tying a note over, you want to be able to see beat three clearly so you can predict one and three, right? And so all those little rules are to make it clearer for you to be able to execute the song with the least amount of hiccups. And that could be over over analyzing a chord change or over describing a chord change, right? I can say this is
Mm-hmm.
a B flat flat seven sharp nine blah blah blah, blah over A whatever. Well, if I can't glance at that as I'm reading the music and make a judgment as it's going along, it's not effective. So it's really an art to it. And I'm still
Mm-hmm.
learning every day. I do decent charts, but I'll give you an example. We did a chart, and I wanted to include the melody line that the vocalist was doing for some clarity, right? But it ended up getting away because now the chart was 7 pages long. There's no way I could
Right.
change that, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
when y'all
Right.
said, "Hey man, can we do something with the chart?" I said, "Okay, I'll get rid of the lyric line. Now that we all know it's a standard song, but it's done a certain way. Now that we know how it flows, I can condense
Mhm.
it." And now it went from 7 pages to 3 pages. So
Even though that lyric line is a
it's
savior,
helpful,
boy,
right? Right?
because
Right? Right?
it really can get you out of some sticky
Right?
situations, because you can kind of know where where the vocalist is at that point,
Right?
and find where you are. But that's it's so. What if there's not charts for a gig,
Uh,
and what if there's no charts, everything is a recording?
yeah.
um what do you think the rule is in terms of how prepared you should be for the rehearsal? Just asking for a friend.
Yeah, well, okay, so if there's, well, here's the situation you're going to be in. When you learn a song by ear, everything is going to be left up to interpretation. Okay, so you just try to play with good enough musicians where everybody can understand the song. Uh, how can I say this? You have a level of consistency where people are able to extract the song and be right. But if it's a complex enough song, then your interpretation of what's going on may be skewered, right? You may be off a little bit. That's okay because in rehearsal you can fix that. But you have to know enough of the nuts and bolts of the song if you learn by ear to say what's going on. Now I'll give you a case in point. When I lived in New Orleans, I had this gig with this vocalist, and they had this very good bass player playing. And bass players can hear the open strings. I never knew that before. I didn't think about it, but it vibrates differently from the other strings. And any bass players want to chime in on that. So this song, it started off with this bass line, and I wrote out the notes to it in a little mock chart. And the bass player said, "That's impossible for that to be an F." I said, "Well, I hear F." And he's like, "No, it's an E." I said, "Well, I mean, I know that's a half step apart, but I hear F and it looks like it works with my chord, right?" He's like, "It's impossible. There's the F." And I'm like, we're going back and forth in rehearsal, right? And I said, "Well, how do you know it's not an F?" He said, "Because it's an open string, it's an E string." So I'm like, in that moment, I had to be educated. So I thought about the chord and I said, "Well, maybe it's not an F minor 6/9. Maybe it's an E7, whatever it was, right?" And so he educated me in that part that he knew it was an open string and that it was an E, but it was so buried in the mix, I would know. You know what I'm saying? But a bass
Hmm.
player knew. So that's what
Hmm.
happens in a rehearsal where you get there and the interpretation I had was different from his, but I trusted his ear because he was a bass player. Right? Or there's times in rehearsal I'll be like, "I'll call you up. You can everybody you can be my witness." I said, "Man, Chris, what do you hear right here?" From the drum perspective. I was like, this groove is a little bit different, especially Afro-Cuban stuff. The cow When you told me the cowbell was beat one time, I was like, "Oh my goodness," because you was playing this groove, and I was like, you were like one, one. I was like,
Right.
"Where the heck is one? I can't find it." He's like,
Right.
"Listen to my cowbell right there on your foot."
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
"Oh my goodness, now it's clear." But I would
Right.
never know that, and if we had a rehearsal, it would be left up to my interpretation. So grab as much as you can and do your homework. And then in rehearsal, you have good enough cats, you can sort it out, you know? But there's been a lot of arguments. I don't know about you. There's been a lot of arguments about the interpretation of what's going on in the song.
Definitely. Times, what if this is in four, or if it's in a lot of cats get tripped up because they don't deal with what we call odd meters
Right, right,
a lot. So an odd meter, for those that don't know, it would be most of our regular music is what we call 4/4 time.
yeah,
So everything is just 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't even have to think about it. But sometimes a song can be in five, or it could be in seven, or it could be in some kind of something a little
Mixtures
bit
of that.
different.
Yeah.
And some guys, it's just that they just haven't heard that a lot or shedded that a lot. It can definitely alter where they hear the downbeat of wherever the start of the music is.
You're right.
So I've heard a lot of arguments about that. What I used to do, man, is if there weren't any charts, um, and they just hand you, used to just hand you a CD or hand you a cassette, check this stuff out, we'll rehearse or whatever.
Right.
I make my own charts,
Right. Right. Right.
before I
Right.
go in. I would write down basically what the form of the song is,
Right.
and then I would write down what I thought the drums were going to do in that song. A lot of times you're getting handed stuff where everything is on there. You just have to decipher, what everything is doing in terms of the drums or the bass, and then write the form out and stuff like that. But I've seen guys, they don't even do that, man. They will not
Right.
come in prepared at all. And then you have an interesting story. You gonna tell it, or you want to hold off on that one?
I'm trying to figure out which one. You got to
The
give me a
one
hint.
where they said that they knew you were going to.
Oh, yes. I'll tell that story.
Okay, go ahead, tell it.
So I was at a rehearsal, and the guy who ran the rehearsal kind of sent out stuff at the last minute. Okay. And some of it was like kind of involved, right? So getting it at the last minute, and this is the part that most people don't understand is that the part that you see us on stage playing is maybe 20% of what we do. The 80% is us being at home, working through the stuff, figuring out technology to find. It's a lot of stuff that we do behind the scenes that we're not doing on stage. And what we're doing on stage is like 20%. But needless to say, it's Friday night. We got a rehearsal Saturday. I am shedding my tail off to learn these songs. Shedding, if you don't know what that is, going in the woodshed. And the woodshed is a place where you used to get your spankings and beat up. So when you're woodshed or the practice room, that's when the music is beating up on you, right? And just like the analogy of a woodshed, when you come out of that woodshed, you're supposed to be a better person after your parents hit you with the switch and stuff like that. You're supposed to be a better person after you come with woodshed. Okay. So when you're in the woodshed with practice, it's hot in there, whatever. And that music is beating up on you, but once you figure it out and come out that woodshed, you know the song, right? So I was up till like almost 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Rehearsal was for 10. Jumped in the bed, got 3 hours sleep, showered, got to the rehearsal, turned to one of the musicians there, and I said, "Dang, I'm trying to vent. Man, how long did it take you to learn these songs, man?" And I was like, "This is wrong for the cat to give you the music the day before, whatever." And he's like, "Honestly, I didn't really learn the music. I just watched TV and watched the game, whatever, because I knew you would have good charts."
Uh, oh,
I
let
was
me.
like, say what now? Say what now? You said you didn't stay up because you knew I had good charts, and that's the day that things changed for me. I'm like, okay, I'm not writing charts for anybody. I was like, I'm gonna memorize this junk, and if I do come in with a chart, I'm gonna have to talk to the person and say, you got to pay me MD prices, MD wages. This has been a rant by Tyrone Jackson, local musicians XP.
And we still haven't figured out how to get back in the right place here.
Well, I'll get. Let me. There you go. Well, put yourself back in, bro.
I think we hit it the same time.
There we go. Now we're back. Now we're back.
It just throws us off, man. It's not about right. We're just
Nah,
used to
man,
these
that's all
spots. But
right.
anyway,
Right, right.
so all right. Well, so how did what was what's your um what are you going to take from that? I mean, obviously you said that from now on it's,
I should have ripped up the chart and threw it in the trash can. Nah,
but I mean,
I learned a
at
lesson.
least the cat was honest. I'll give him
Yeah,
that
yeah,
much. At
yeah.
least he was
But
honest.
it was eye opening. So in the future, normally what I do is I'll tell the whoever's over the thing. I say, listen, if you want me to do charts, I can do charts. And that particular person, oh, I don't even want to mention that person's name at
Of
all.
course not. Of course
But that particular person does charts and it's incomplete, incomplete charts. And Robert Boone knows who I'm talking about too.
not.
You'll be reading along and the D section come up, it's just blank measures. You're like, what is this? That person's like, well, I couldn't figure it out. I'm trying to not do the person's voice too. I couldn't figure it out, so I figured you guys get. I was like, why even do a chart if you're gonna have missing information on it? Look at Boone is laughing right now.
Boone is cracking up.
I'm
Oh,
like,
that's funny, man.
and
All
in that
right.
situation, everybody knows that I'll come prepared for it, whatever. And
Right.
Boone comes prepared too, and you too. When you're in that situation, you make your little extra thing marks on the chart and stuff
That's
But
why,
we,
man, I still can't get with like y'all got the iPad, the pen with the iPad, and
yeah,
say everybody was making their little notes and stuff like that, man. I'm like, I'm still on paper, man. Like, I
right,
ain't
right.
doing all that high tech stuff.
Man, it can save your life, bro. That little iPad, bro.
I know. I know. I got it. I mean, I
Especially on
do
a
have the
windy day,
pen.
bro. If you out on the outside playing,
Hey,
boy, remember
man,
the days clothespins? I had to
that's
throw
what
my keys
clothespins
on
are
there,
for. That's what clothespins are for, bruh.
man. Them
Clothespins and tape
clothespins,
and
tape,
tape.
and oh, what about the little plexiglass thing you put against the shield,
Flexing,
bro?
hey, whatever's gonna hold it there, man. That's what
Right,
I'm all
right.
about.
I throw my cell phone and keys up on the stand sometimes, bro. Clack.
Oh my gosh. But well, I mean, I feel like, man, in order for the scene to get healthy again,
Right.
we need an influx of people doing their own music. Now, we had a great conversation with a former rock manager who Mark may be in here. I'm not sure if he's in here, but and we got some great information on how
Mm,
certain things were done back in the day. We will bring him on at some point and release some of that material because it's really interesting to hear just everything from promoter to performance and
yeah,
hear how that used to work.
yeah.
So how in order to get the scene and get these music scenes, because right now, and I'm not hating on all the tribute bands, people are doing what they got to do to try to make pay some bills, man. I get it, but when are we going to be able to get back to seeing people perform their own music?
I see the younger cats doing that, which is
Hmm.
good. I see them really exploring different things. And shout out to the younger cats for doing that. They just not hadn't they just haven't learned how to monetize it yet. I mean, they
Hmm.
give it away. They'll put everything
What else?
on the
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. No,
yeah,
man, go ahead.
they'll put
Keep
everything
going.
on the gram like, "Hey, this is my new song." And I'm like, "Okay, how are you going to make money from that?"
Hmm.
And you have to be a little bit judicious how or talk to other people. But there's a lot of young people who are musicians who are really taking the bull by the horn and taking initiative to do their own stuff. It's just that we don't see it. It's sometimes subversive. Like when we were talking to Al Smith, there was a plenty of names I could call of young people doing things with great music, like Alpha Mist and all these other young artists that's doing stuff, but it's not really in the mainstream. And what is mainstream anymore? Everything is like we put it there for you to find us, not I'm throwing it out for you to consume.
Well,
You
you brought
know,
up a good question today, which will be a future topic, which is does the general public even know what's
right,
good anymore?
right,
Like, or what, because it's so much is like is fed to them, especially like just even the what's going on sonically
right.
and how the music sounds. If the stuff doesn't sound a certain way, it's like people don't even respond to it, and it's the most plastic, uh compressed, sound where you can't even really hear what the instruments are doing. It's just you got a really loud, either a loud rap or a loud vocal, and the music is mixed so far back and down, and you can't even tell like what I can't tell what the drummers do. I can't even tell if it's a real drummer or not. I can't tell if it's a real what it's hard. Is it live or is it Memorex? Remember, I mean, remember
Yes,
that? Like, I
I
mean,
remember that.
I can't tell if what's going on sometimes with
Right,
when I
right.
hear stuff, and so I don't know what the answer is other than just like you said, some of the younger people just keep hammering, doing your thing, and
Mm-hmm.
doing what you and I had kind of talked about, what you might experiment with is putting on performances together,
Right,
not just
showcases.
having one band, one person or one band. It's like, man, y'all group together. That's what back in the day, uh there was a it was called Groovement, and it was uh our great friend Kari Simmons, I believe, and like four or five other people, actually NDRE.
Mm-hmm.
Um but it was a bunch of people that came together, formed their own thing, and they would
Right.
perform, they would put on the own shows, and a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people, but definitely a few people gained success out of that,
Right,
by
right,
coming together and working together rather than trying
right.
to do everything by yourself, because it's so hard now with even uh trying to even promote your show.
Yeah.
uh you know what are you going, I mean, okay, so you put a thing on Facebook and you put a thing on Instagram, you put a thing, I mean, there's no telling that that's going to get pushed, and people are
No.
so, people just don't even see stuff in their timeline anymore. I had to
Right.
go and I had to clean my timeline, dude, because it was like I wasn't even seeing anybody that I knew anymore,
Right,
you
right,
know. So, but that's what I would like to see, man, is more of a collective mindset
right,
from, and I'm talking about all art, not just pop art. I'm jazz artist,
right.
do a collective thing, put on your own events and your own shows. I think that would be highly successful.
I think it would be too. I'm really looking into that for the series that I do. It would be great because it's you can see the differences in the groups and get it's like eating food. And man, if I just had a straight bowl of polenta, I mean that I would like to have something to go along with that. You know what
what
I'm saying?
what makes you think of
I don't know why polenta, bro. It's been long, bro. Man, I had a sweet potato and a salad today, bro. My wife,
you
my
hangry,
wife
bro?
had Popeye's
You
chicken,
hangry?
bro.
You hangry, bro? You
I
hangry?
am. My wife had Popeye's chicken. And I can't even be mad at her because she tried to call me when I was heading home. She probably was going to ask me if I wanted something, but I ended up doing the right thing. It's better for my diet. Shout out to my diet.
Man, don't be hangry, bro. Don't be
I'm
hangry.
not hungry, bro. Polenta, bro.
Anyway, but yeah, so you had a straight. You said you had a bowl of polenta.
Yeah, yeah. But you can't have like all the choices, right? You got to have things that go together, but it's got to be a little bit
Right,
different,
right,
right? So
right,
hey,
right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, the venues and stuff.
yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation. But
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I know. I mean, again, man, if when there's a will, there's a way, and there are things that you can do through social media and YouTube. We're trying to crack the YouTube code. It takes a long time. You got to
Oh,
be persistent. You got to stay at it. You got to believe in what you're doing. But man, there's so many people that have broke. I mean, good or bad, right? I mean, but that have, because they were consistent, persistent, and they didn't care what anybody else said about what they were doing.
and that's you're right, but it's all sales. Now let me explain myself with sales. You have to sell yourself. You have to know what you are. You got to find your niche. Even when Miles Davis turned his back on the audience, that was a niche. People were like, not everybody couldn't do that, but Miles was like labeled as a, a cool cat. Man, if you read Miles Davis autobiography and a biography about him, man, that cat was flammable, bro. There was nothing cool about him, but the
Right.
perception of him, or Prince. Like
Right.
I remember when Prince took that the guitar and threw it in the air and it crashed to smithereens,
Right.
and he can get away with that, right? Because perception, he found whatever his niche was, you know. And so,
Right.
but it's all sales. My whole point is this:
Yeah. It's a little bit of
once,
show business. A little
yeah,
bit of show
you got to
business.
find out what you have. I'm a big guy. I'm not gonna wear any sexy outfits. That's not my thing. All right. But I'm cerebral, you know what I'm saying? I found that George Duke wasn't a sexy guy,
Heavy D and the boys,
right?
bruh.
Heavy D, Chub
Heavy
Rock,
D. But Heavy D, man, Heavy D was sharp though. Heavy D
right?
was sharp. Everybody was sharp. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you got to find what you can't try to be what you're not, and try to,
Can't try to be what you're not,
and
man.
you have to also figure out what you have and play to that. Like find out, talk to people. What do I have? What can I do? I mean, there's some musicians in town used to dress a certain way, and they hired a stylist and they blew up from there. Just getting a stylist.
Hmm.
We got a producer in your own household be telling us what to do. You know what I'm saying? And mine too. You know,
Yours
shout out to,
too.
shout
But
out to.
hey,
But we listen.
but dude, they see things that we don't see.
Right,
And
right.
that's the you can't see everything.
No, and
You
it's all
know,
sales. I'm selling. What am I selling? What am I bringing to the table? You know,
I mean, that's a great question. I mean,
you you
what
dressed up. You dressed up. What did you wear Sunday to the gig?
um I just
You
had on like it was a shirt, but it had a dashiki
yes,
printing on it, but I had a jacket over the top of it.
exactly.
So it had some pop to it, you know. I
But
mean, I
everybody
don't know.
who knows you, that's you. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Very
right.
organic, very earthy, very you're gonna have some type of motherland kind of thing because your music reflects that. But if you came in with one of them a Prince
Well,
shirt with butt out jeans, I'd be like, Chris, hey bro, come here for a second, bro. Man, what you doing, bro? What are you doing? Why you got butt out jeans on the drum set, bro?
why I can't wear the butt outs though, bruh?
I have to
What's
talk to
wrong?
Miss Tate Burroughs
What's
about that,
wrong
bro.
with that, bruh? What's wrong with that,
Hey,
man?
if you got them, flaunt them, bro. But we don't
The
want to see that,
cheeks,
bro. The
cheeks,
cheeks,
bruh.
the yams, bro. Get the yams on there.
Can I get to the yams? I
Yeah.
can't. I'm like, these cats will make songs about anything, man.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, I mean, you have to have what I like to call it vibe,
You gotta have
right?
some type of vibe, yeah.
I remember, man. Well, I'm not gonna go into it, but yeah, you have to have some kind of vibe, and I think that just comes back to respect for the music, respect for the presentation, all those kinds of things. Not that you have to be dressed to the nines, which is cool too.
Right.
If you want to do that, but
Well, if you're gonna dress down or whatever, you better be hitting. You know, you gotta
yeah.
be hitting, hitting,
Well,
hitting.
but even then, does that? I still the visual of that doesn't sit. It just doesn't sit with now. If you're at a casual gig, of course you got a cool T-shirt on, jeans, sneakers, whatever. But not on no performance, man. I mean, and I know I'm about to get. I know who's going. I'm gonna get text messages tonight. But hey, they know how I feel too, and it's just
Right.
like, man, come on. It's like y'all put on. I mean, how hard is it to put on a? Because again, you know what I guess is now called your brand,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And there's guys that have a brand and have nothing else. Okay,
yeah,
so we've seen that too. But man, if you're a good player and you've got respect in that way, nothing wrong with having a little something else to that,
yeah.
because I think it goes a long way. And I'm here to tell you, man, if singers got the gigs, not instrumentalists,
No.
and especially if you play with female vocalists,
Mhm.
the first thing they're gonna comment is which is how you look.
And
I
that's
mean,
what
that's just the bottom. That's just how it works.
No,
you
you're right.
know.
That's what Tia just put in the chat. Especially for women, it's about the looks. And then she also said looks really count more for the venue owners over vibes. For me, yeah, you gotta sell yourself, man. You gotta look the part
Hmm.
and play, but you can't have
Right,
one without the other. You
right,
can't. Yeah,
right. But taking yourself seriously, I think that's kind of that's all we're talking about is taking yourself seriously when it comes to, if you want respect from others and the younger guys out there, you know, it can't be all just flash and all 30 seconds on social media. It's like, what else do you have to back this up? If you're
yeah,
trying to um, build a career or get noticed for trying to get booked or get hired from other people, it's really going to come down to a lot more than just that 50. I mean, we've seen it, man. We saw the what's the dude that did the Super Bowl performance? Not last. It was last year, a couple years ago.
you talking about the I can feel my face guy? What's his name?
What's his name, man? The weekend.
Weekend. Yeah, yeah,
Which I don't. I mean, I've heard. So it sounds like '80s throwback, whatever. Okay, cool. Cat's never performed before, and he's on the soup getting the super. You know how long it took Prince and Springsteen and Tom Petty and all these other
right.
people to
Michael
get
Jackson. Yeah,
Michael Jackson and to get a Super Bowl performance.
yeah.
And it's like, and you could just tell it was like this dude has no experience
No
at
idea, bro.
all putting on a show.
If I wanted to go see all them dang mirrors and people walking through, I'd have gone to the circus, bro.
I was like, what are we looking at here? I mean, but you could tell Kendrick Lamar put some thought into it.
Woo! And 50 Cent when he was
Or
hanging upside down.
I don't know what that was. I'm like, but performing,
Yeah.
being a performer, being an artist. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see that
Well,
come. I mean, I know
well,
we all
no.
hate on
Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars.
but who else? I mean, like,
No,
okay,
no.
uh, who's the what's the girls? Taylor Swift is the big right
Yeah.
now. Everybody, we all, and I'm like, even like, I don't really get, but I know she puts on 3.5 hour performances.
Right, right, right,
That's all and when I was like, what?
right.
With costume changes and the whole, and
Whole nine.
I'm like, well, that's kind of why I guess she's got the attention of a lot of people, but
Yeah.
that's hard to do.
And the weekend is walking between mirrors behind the stage and with people doing crazy outfits, and he's walking through the crowd.
right,
Come on,
right. I'm gonna
Brad.
put this one up here for Tia. I like that. I like
It's
that.
over. Yeah.
I like that. Sing your ass up, but don't look good. I mean, it just, I don't know. The two kind of go hand in hand, but not to get too over the top on this. But thank you for some of the comments and stuff that we've gotten here.
Dude, you got a question
Brad,
from Brad. Brad, a moment with Brad.
hey Brad, we got a friend of ours, Brad Thomas.
Yeah.
We're thinking about giving you a segment called 5, but
And only
we
5 minutes.
we have to
If you
see.
go 501, Brad, it's cut. But we're gonna give you 5. We thinking about it,
We'll
Brad.
see. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
I'm gonna ask
Talk
his
to my
question to
manager.
you. I'm gonna ask this question to you because this will be a
Hold up.
good
So
one for
let's
you.
answer. Let's get him up first, and then. Oh, you
Yeah,
gonna post his
I'm
his
gonna
answer
I'm gonna
or
I'm gonna
his
ask
question?
I'm gonna ask your Brad's question to you.
Hold up. Let me see what it is first. I'm gonna
Don't
put it
cheat.
up. I'm gonna put it.
Oh,
I'm
you
gonna
gonna
put
put
it
it up?
up.
Okay,
I
put
see
it
it.
up.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
I see it. You talking about this one?
Yes. Do
Okay.
musicians still use radio to promote themselves or their bands, or is that old fashioned now? Can I answer it first?
Yeah, you can answer it first.
No. Yes.
No, yes.
Do musicians still use radio to promote? No. Is that old fashioned? Yes. But go ahead. Brad said, "Well, talk about it." That gave my answer. You got to give yours. You got to give your answer now.
Oh my gosh.
No, yes.
Only Brad could ask this question.
Can I do it in Brad said good answer. Can I do it in Brad's voice?
Sure.
I'd rather Brad do it, but Brad, I love Brad, man.
No, go ahead and do it in Brad's
Brad,
voice. So.
hey Chris, uh, do musicians still use radio to promote themselves or their bands, or is that old fashioned now? Shout out to Brad. That's my impersonation of you, Brad.
Okay, but did he show up early enough to
Oh,
ask that question?
Brad,
You like to
Brad
show up
shows up.
early.
Brad
All
shows
right,
up
really,
early,
brother.
on time. Brad is on time.
Well, really, Brad. Here's what I would say, man. Is there is really no radio promotion for bands anymore. Now, maybe
No,
public radio.
no. There's programming. There's
Everything is programmed, dude.
right.
So one of our conversations with Mark was we talked about some of that stuff and how
Right.
and back in the day the DJ DJ was getting paid
Right.
because these guys were coming in town. They wanted them to talk about their concert, play whoever the artist music is. That was like
Hmm.
big. That was a big deal. I think on there's like some like our good friend James Ellison who works for uh,
WRFG.
WRFG and RFG. You can I don't know if you can buy if they have things where you can buy, but uh, I'm not sure if the DJs. I mean, we might have to get him on here and talk about that. That
They
would
do
actually
their
be a good
they do
question.
their own programming. They do their own
So you
programming.
do their own programming, and then so can DJs, but can DJs actually shout out other? And another cat we should have on is Jamal Ahmed,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
I thought about also, but and ask these guys some of those kinds of questions. But I don't
yeah.
know if they can promote. I guess RFG would because they're it's
Independent, right,
independent, you
right.
know. But then it's like, okay, how many people are going to be listening to
But
smaller
Radio
radio?
One has bought out everything. So all the channels that you think are different, they're still owned by Radio One. And so
Mhm.
Radio One programs their music. Don't care who the
Mhm.
DJ is. You don't have,
You
yeah.
got that right.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Local DJs are promoting, they make, you know how they're making their money? Car advertisements, reading advertisements. That's how they make their
That's how
money now.
everybody. That's how
Yeah,
everybody's making their money. I
yeah.
mean, you listen to
Going on
any
location.
show,
Yeah,
you listen to any like Colin Cow, any of the shows. They're all doing live. There's not even any ad. You know how they used to have the ad,
right,
the spots. You would have those
right,
spots, and they now that's gone. Whoever's on is on live is reading the advertisement
right,
on the show.
right. And Ralph Rice is with WRFG too. So yeah, so Ralph is
Yes,
one of
yes. So that's your answer, Brad. I
yeah,
guess
and
that's the
that
only.
is only old fashioned because people don't even listen to the radio as much anymore. We do
Right,
as older people, but everything now is going to streaming services,
right,
which is
right.
to me is the new uh, advent of the singles again. You don't even have to do a whole album anymore.
Who
Put a
does whole
single there.
albums?
I used to love whole albums. Used to love conceptually what went through there and touching the album, reading the cover and seeing how they go together. Then you
Man,
get the A side and the B side of an album. Oh my goodness.
I'm not saying I speak from experience, but I know people who skip school to go because the album was dropping and go into to pick up the record.
Was it Brisk Currows who did that?
I don't know.
I don't
I
know if
don't
it was
know.
Brisk Currows or not.
I'm not sure if it was. It might have been.
Was it Tyrone Taxon? I don't know.
But I mean, some people. Oh, so well, I will shout out my brother Paul Fisher,
Oh wow.
who uh, got some vinyl press for his new recording.
Is that an
Um,
organ on there?
it is. He's got an organ group. Actually, a good friend of ours, Marlon Patton, played on this particular recording.
Nice. Who's playing
And
organ?
this cat, he was like, "Man, I don't even care. I just for myself, I want to have this." And this is
Oh, I gotta
totally
get it.
dope killing, man.
I gotta
Um,
get it.
so Paul Fisher Boogaloo, this is a sort of an organ trio, funky. uh, record, and I'm not even gonna open it, man. It's just gonna chill because I don't even wanna mess with the pressing or anything.
Man, I got to hear that analog sound on that, bro. You know.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes you
Yeah.
just do it for yourself,
Right, 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 right,
and it doesn't matter. You just do stuff for yourself, and if you enjoy it, man, then that's it.
right.
So all right, we got any other questions? Didn't look like it.
Put some
Uh,
questions in, you guys. We can rant with the best of them, but we'll take some of y'all
yeah,
questions. It's your
yeah. Well,
opportunity.
we're gonna have more shows that are geared more toward. We'll throw out a topic early, and then we'll have people put in questions early, and then we can have a show driven more about like that.
Mhm.
Um, but I also wanted to throw a shout out to the late great Clarence Avant, who just passed
Oh
away.
yeah,
And if you guys don't know who Clarence Avant was, there's a great documentary on him on either Prime. I can't remember if it's either
yeah.
Prime or it's
On
HBO Max or Max or
The
something like that.
Godfather, something like that, right?
Yeah, but man, he was so instrumental in uh, raising up the young, not only black artists but producers in the 80s. And one of his biggest clients were Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, the great Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who produced, Janet Jackson, and were in Prince's camp for a long time with the Time and all that kind of stuff. But who produced a ton of great music and hits. But Clarence really he was their mentor in terms of
So many.
getting into the business
Yeah,
and teaching them how to not take the low money and
yeah.
also learning how to say no. I mean, there's a great scene in the documentary where Jimmy Jam is talking, might have been Jimmy or Terry, I can't remember, but they went to a dinner with Clarence, and they they Clarence asked him, "What do you guys charge to produce a record?" And I think they were
Right.
working with the SOS band at the
Okay.
time, and so Terry slid a number, wrote a number on a napkin, and Clarence picked it up, looked at it, and he's like, "Man, you can't make no record with this kind of money." He's like, "Ask for this," and they were like, "Really? We can ask for that?" So again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you don't
Mhm.
know,
Yeah,
unless somebody tells you, you're not gonna know. So,
yeah.
you
And like
know,
you said, he was really instrumental even before that with Jimmy Smith. He managed Sarah Vaughan. He was also
right?
he
He had that
just
jazz club,
right,
didn't he? Didn't he have a
right.
club?
And he discovered Bill Withers.
That is all correct.
Right. So he also talked about like the reason why a lot of people don't know him because he talked about having power, like power behind the scenes, not flashy power, but power where you can influence people from behind the scene. Nobody knows your name, kind of power, and that's a
Right,
different level of power, that he had.
right, right.
Even so much so that I think Obama talked about he was instrumental in him being in the slot of the caucus that he needed to be in, that ultimately led to his presidency. So that's
Hmm.
power when somebody knows things to say, okay, hey, you need to be in this slot. You need to be in the third slot, not the first slot,
Right,
not the last slot, but the third slot is
right.
the and that's a gift, man.
And the crazy thing, I mean, I don't know how crazy it is, but this man, again, it runs back to a little bit of our conversation with Al Smith. I'm gonna keep bringing that up because it was so
Hmm.
good and learned so many things.
Right,
Is when you talk to these artists, they would say, What does he charge you for that?" They go, "He didn't charge me anything.
right, right,
He didn't charge me a dime."
right,
And they're like, "What?" Never asked for a dollar. Never asked for any. Now I'm sure that they're gonna, come correct on, but he never set a price, which is another kind of power,
right.
right?
It definitely
I'm gonna
is.
see what these dudes gonna do, and then you know what I mean.
Right.
Sometimes with gigs, it's kind of like that. It's like
Right. Right.
if
Right.
there's certain people that hire us, we
Hmm.
don't really you don't really ask what the gig pays,
No.
you
No.
know. So um, there's a lot of there's a lot of cool stuff in that. But yeah, I highly recommend going and watching that. You can just Google it. I'm sure you'll find it. Clarence
He,
Avant.
he was
Um,
92, something like that, when he
I think
died.
it was more recent than that. I don't think it
No,
was
no,
that
no,
long
no.
ago.
I said, was he
Oh,
92?
when he passed,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's a
Yeah, he
nice
was 90.
full
Yeah,
life, man.
92. And I had forgotten about that, man. Like Sarah Vaughan and all that
Yeah,
connection.
yeah. So
That's
I mean, he just influenced, even Sean P. Diddy Combs asked for his advice. I mean, you're looking at a person over the span of 50 to 60 years influencing.
right,
Like that's crazy to me.
right,
You
right,
know,
right, right.
Michael Jackson. He, I believe he helped Michael Jackson on his Bad tour, which one of it was a
Mm.
big money making tour for Michael Jackson.
Huge,
Yeah.
huge,
But look,
huge.
you got Sarah Vaughan, Jimmy Smith, Michael Jackson, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Bill Withers. That's that's five different age gaps that you're looking at, you know? Crazy.
Unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Huge influence.
Right.
Um, so, all right. Well, we've again check us out. We have a Facebook page. We have Instagram,
Hmm.
YouTube. On the YouTube, please subscribe and like our video. That helps us out a lot as we are learning. I mean, this is a learning curve, but this stuff is kind of in our blood. I'm not going to give up on it. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. So, um, regardless of if we got one person in there or 1,000, we're going to keep at this,
Yeah.
and we got a lot of topics. We've hopefully got a real cool special guest coming up next week. I haven't gotten 100% confirmation, but we think that's going to happen. Another cat to spotlight that's grown a pretty cool thing out of the Atlanta music scene. And but we'll also be dropping um, a new episode here soon. Trying to do drops on Tuesdays, but then we decided to go live every Tuesday.
Right.
And it's just the YouTube the YouTube algorithm is different. So you can't drop a whole lot of stuff at the same time. Otherwise, because it chooses like what kind of gets shown and what doesn't and all that kind of stuff. So bear with us on content, but we are going to do this show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And we want as much interaction as we can from you guys. Let us know what you think about the show. Again, we're just learning on the job and trying to get it right. I think my mic was a little hot earlier, so just the little things that come along
Yeah.
with it, man. Um,
Hey, man, but shout out to Chris Burroughs
mm.
because, bruh, I I haven't seen you work this hard and fervently in a long time, unless it was like Madden or chess or something like that. You know, if y'all know this cat gets obsessive compulsive disorder with things, bruh. You know, he'll shoot pool for like a millennia, and then you'll never see him shoot pool again. Then he's into something else. But I gotta say, bruh, you've been working your tail off with this and being doing a doggone good job. So shout out to this.
look who jumped, look who got something to say, bro.
Hey man, she's
Oh,
a producer.
our producer, one of our producers is in the chat, y'all.
Right,
One of our
right, right.
producers. Well, listen, I will say this, man. You know, when I discovered jazz music,
Hmm.
uh, and I mean really discovered it. Not, I mean like I heard it and kind of checked it out. But once I made a decision that I wanted to learn and be a part of that art form, people always ask me how I was able to do that because quote unquote jazz gigs don't pay no money, right?
Right.
And that could be true to a degree, but what I decided to do, man, was I had a lot of students at that time. So I was
Right.
making my money teaching and playing the music that I wanted to play because I
Right.
knew that was going to make me a better musician.
Right.
And my whole goal has been I just wanted to be good at whatever it is I'm doing. Whatever can make me better is what I'm going to try to work at. So
Right.
why not choose you know, one of the most difficult, quote unquote, styles to get into. Um, but when I made that decision, because everything has now kind of come full circle,
Right.
where I'm playing in a rock band, I'm playing in, other forms of kind of, funky situations, funk bands, but I'm still have a foot and, and an ear hardcore into the jazz. But now everything is coming together. So I don't really, it's not separate anymore to me.
And
And that is like where it's at because then it just all becomes part, and you can just take what you want from each individual style, and that's how you come up with your own thing,
yeah.
and that's what I've been able to kind of do. But that feeling is the same kind of thing that I've had with this because I've been studying this for a long time with the
Right.
gamers and the YouTube streamers, and it is it's a different kind of cat that does what those guys do. People
Yeah.
think that, oh, they just play. It's just like what oh man, musicians, they just lazy. Oh, they don't. They all they do is just. It's like no, there's a lot more to it than that. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you, being noticing that, and we're
Yeah.
working on this together, man. You've done your part too, man,
I'm the
and you've
color
done a lot more,
commentary, man. You know what I'm saying?
you
I'm the color
know.
commentary. Oh, first of all, too, hey man, since you got all these nice gigs and stuff, let a brother hold a little something, bro. You know?
Who you talking? You
Talking to
talking to
you.
somebody in the chat? Who
You
you
know I'm talking
talking
to
to?
you. You
I
got
don't know what gig you
rock
talking about.
rock gigs, jazz gigs, Afro Cuban gigs. You got all the
None of them
gigs,
pay. They
man.
don't. These gigs don't pay no money, bruh.
Nah, John
Uh,
Harris in the chat says we are trying hard to improve that pay thing, bro.
Where
I
did
made
that
a
come
lot of
from,
money from
John? What, John? What?
John said you just
Hello,
played.
John. What
You
is it?
just played. Got some money, bro. Got some money from a jazz gig, bro.
I I didn't say that. I'm
Okay.
saying what other people say is that jazz. That's what I keep. That's what I have always heard. Jazz gigs don't pay. Now, I mean, I know other gigs that don't pay too. Uh, I mean,
Right.
I mean, when the rockers are rehearsing and they going to play a gig at Smith's Old Bar or the Cotton Club, what do those gigs pay? I mean, you just man, you do what you're
Yes.
passionate about, man.
Right.
You do what
Right.
you're passionate about, and
I played a blues gig and I got a $75 ticket. That means I had to pay $25 out of my
had to
pocket.
pay $25. But did you learn something?
Yeah. I learned
Did
not to
you
go
learn?
park in that spot no more. Yeah, I can collect my $50 and go home, you know?
Man, I just don't. Man, it's like that you can run into any situation where stuff doesn't pay. It's on the individual, you know.
But you
So
making so much money now, bro. You can take your wife
what
on a
where did this come from? I
Take
just
a
went
vacation.
through a.
Take your wife.
I am like pouring my heart out in terms of spending hours on an overlay. So this, what money am I making?
Hey, can you do this show from Curacao or somewhere like that? You take
Yes,
your
you
wife on a
can.
there you go.
You,
So you could take
you can
Shanita
do.
out, the Miss Tate.
Where did we go on vacation? What is vacation? Oh my gosh, what is?
Bro, you
All
even
right,
work on
all
vacations,
right.
bro.
I think this is
Oh, now we out of
we
time now,
are
huh?
we are out of juice here. I don't know where this conversation. I'm trying to be. I got to leave the check in the. Okay, John. All right.
That's the
Old
inside
guys.
joke.
We have old guys in the chat. Old guys in the chat,
That's the
and they're.
inside. That's the inside joke right there.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Inside.
All right. All right. All right.
Yeah, man. But
Well,
shout out to you, bro. For real. For real.
thank
Shout
you,
out to
man.
you
Thank you.
for
Thank
putting the time and energy into it, man, and knowing how important this is. So yeah, yeah.
you. Well,
Appreciate you.
we got a lot more coming.
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Tell people about it. Like, subscribe. Tell more people about it, man. Let them get inside of this mind of musicians in this world that we have. And it will help us all out if we educate people about what this is about.
right. Right. Absolutely. So, Chop It Up Tuesdays every Tuesday night. Thank you guys. Look for more stuff on YouTube. Follow us wherever you can. Local Musicians XP. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out.
Peace.